Hello and welcome. You're watching News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. On the show, we are going to focus on the ongoing wrestlers' protests. Adding another twist to the sad saga of India's top wrestlers' months-long protest, some media reports emerged today suggesting that according to the Delhi police, there is simply not enough evidence to arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the Wrestling Federation chief who has been accused of sexually harassing 7 women wrestlers, including a minor. But, of course, there is no official statement from the Delhi police to this effect. They are yet to submit any report in this regard. This is a case that has been grabbing headlines for weeks now. On Tuesday, some of India's top wrestlers and medal-winning champions, including Sakshi Malik, Vinesh Fogart and Bajrang Punia, threatened to immerse their Olympic, Commonwealth and World Championship medals into the Ganga River after they accused the Delhi police and the government of India of dragging their feet and shielding Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. The wrestlers have been demanding the sacking and arrest of the 6-time BJP MP and Wrestling Federation of India's chief in the sexual harassment case. They've also threatened to go on a fast unto death if the government refuses to accept their demands. On Sunday, we saw the unedifying images of the country's medal-winning wrestlers and Olympic champions, most of them women, being manhandled, shoved around, pinned to the ground, dragged, lifted off the road and bundled into buses by the Delhi police during their protest march from Jantar Mantar to India's new parliament. The heartbreaking images soon flooded the social media, triggering massive outrage and condemnation for the high-handedness of the police. The question is just, what is the way forward? Will there be justice in this case?
और मैंने उसी दिन कहा, कब हुआ, कहाँ हुआ, किसके साथ हुआ, और मैंने एक बात ये भी कहा था, अगर एक भी आरोप मेरे ऊपर साबित हो जाएगा तो ब्रिज भूषण सिंह स्वयं फांसी पर लटक जाएंगे, किसी को कहना नहीं। आज भी मैं उसी बात पर कायम हूं। 4 महीने हो गए, 4 महीने हो गए, मुझे फांसी चाहते हैं, सरकार मुझे फांसी नहीं दे रही है, तो अपना मेडल लेकर के गंगा में बहाने जा रहे हैं। मुझ पर आरोप लगाने वालों, गंगा में मेडल बहाने से बृजभूषण सिंह को फांसी नहीं मिलेगी। अगर तुम्हारे पास कोई सबूत है तो जाकर के पुलिस को दो, न्यायालय को दो, और न्यायालय मुझे फांसी देगा तो मुझे स्वीकार है, मैं उस फांसी पर चढ़ जाऊंगा। ये इमोशनल ड्रामा, मेरे भाइयों, मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूं, मैंने आभा में एक लाइन पढ़ा था, एक लाइन, पूरी आभा नहीं जानता हूं, लेकिन एक लाइन कभी कभी याद करता हूं, यक्कई उदल के जियरा पर चमके 3 लाख तलवार। यक्कई उदल के जियरा पर चमके 3 लाख तलवार। वाह!
मैं इतना ही कहूँगा, खिलाड़ियों ने स्वयं कहा था जनवरी महीने में कि ये प्लेटफॉर्म राजनीति करने के लिए नहीं है और किसी राजनीतिक दल को चाहते भी नहीं है। लेकिन बाद में राजनीतिक दलों का, ट्रेड यूनियंस का, कईयों का आना जाना हुआ। मैं उस पर कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहता कि इस मंच पे कौन कौन आया, लेकिन मैं इतना जरूर कहूँगा, मेरे प्रिय खिलाड़ियों, आपको दिल्ली पुलिस की जांच का इंतज़ार करना चाहिए, विश्वास करना चाहिए। दिल्ली पुलिस ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कहकर एफआईआर दर्ज की है और उचित यही होगा कि आप जब तक ये जांच पूरी ना हो तब तक इस तरह का कोई भी कदम ना उठाएं जिससे खेल या किसी खिलाड़ी या किसी को कोई ठेस पहुंचे। हम सब खेल और खिलाड़ियों के पक्ष में हैं, हम सब खेलों को आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। देश में खेल प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में आगे बढ़ा है। ना केवल बजट बल्कि उपलब्धियां भी बढ़ी हैं।
काफ़ी दुख हुआ जब उन्होंने ऐसा कहा कि वो लोग प्रवाहित कर रहे हैं अपने मेडल्स को, इतनी मेहनत से उन्होंने जीते हैं, तो उनको रिस्पेक्ट मतलब करनी चाहिए, मतलब मेडल्स के नहीं बहाने चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से। मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि उनको नहीं करना चाहिए ये सब, सरकार पे छोड़ना चाहिए, जो भी सरकार फैसला लेगी उनके लिए।
देखिए, जो हमारे पहलवान बैठे हैं बहुत बड़े पहलवान, हमारे देश की आन बान शान है, ठीक है। उन्होंने नेताजी के खिलाफ जो भी आरोप लगाया, यौन शोषण का जो भी है, उनको सबूत पेश करने चाहिए थे। इतना बड़ा बवाल नहीं होना चाहिए था। आज हमारे देश की जो आन बान शान है, उनको रोड पे पुलिस घसीट रही है, धक्का मार मार के कैब में घेर रही है, ले जा रही है, थाने में बिठा रही है। ऐसी नौबत तो आनी नहीं चाहिए थी। सबूत पेश करते गवाही हो जाती। कानून है, हर चीज हर देश के नागरिक के लिए बनाई गई है, चाहे वो हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी हैं, चाहे वो हमारे किसी भी छोटे छोटे गांव का प्रधान है, सबके लिए कानून एक है। अगर उनके पास सबूत थे, सबूत पेश करो, गिरफ्तारी हो जाएगी। सबूत दे नहीं रहे, गिरफ्तारी करो, गिरफ्तारी कैसे हो जाएगी?
There's a huge distortion. India is not what the media shows. The media likes to show, a particular narrative. It likes to promote a particular narrative. That is actually not what is going on in India, right? It was very clear to me in the Yatra. It's in the media's interest to project these things. It helps the BJP, right? So don't think that everything you see in the media is the truth. And as a young person, your country needs you, right? And your skills and your energy will be very useful to your country. So if you feel like going back, do go back and help out.
All right, so what can we expect next in this case, which really seems to be becoming murkier by the day? Joining me on the show, Dr. Anjana Kumari, Director CSR India, Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director, IB, Jagmati Sangwan, former Indian volleyball player. We're also hoping to be joined in a moment by Manas Thapar, lawyer and political analyst. Jagmati Sangwan, let me start with you. Now, even though I must state this categorically at the start of the show, that there is no official statement from the Delhi police to this effect, but several media reports emerged today suggesting that the Delhi police believe that there is simply not enough evidence to arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Now, this has been one of the primary demands of the protesting wrestlers, that he should be sacked as the Wrestling Federation chief and he should be arrested. If what we are hearing is true, then really what do you think is the way ahead for these protesting wrestlers?
Neha, as you know, there are FIRs, and if there was a content in the FIRs, then only the sections which has been put on Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh under POCSO, those have come out. And first of all, there should have been arrest of Brij Bhushan, and then there should have been investigation further. This is the provision in under POCSO, and he has been given pretty much time to manipulate the things. Day before in Rohtak, the relative of this नाबालिग लड़की जो पॉक्सो में जिससे शिकायत की है, his uncle who is not related with the family so well, he conducted a press conference and said that she has been misled by these
That's right.
and
Can I just
all.
quickly quote him, ma'am? Can I quickly quote him? Of course, we don't know if this man is actually related to this young girl. His name is Amit Pahalwan. He claims to be the uncle of this girl,
Yes, but-
and he says that the wrestlers are misleading the girl and her family and using them to frame Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. He says that my niece's age has been changed to 16 years so that these wrestlers can wrongly use the POCSO Act against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. He then goes on to claim that the girl's date of birth is actually 22nd February 2004. I must clarify again, we don't know whether he's actually related to the girl, but this is the claim that's been made. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, he is claiming that he is uncle of this girl, whereas at the in the same video he is saying that although he is not on talking terms with his elder brother, and the whole thing, if you go through the video, it's all mysterious what he has narrated. But Brij Bhushan was given time to manipulate the thing, to prepare people like him to come out and violate all the procedures. The claims which he has made are totally baseless, and as it was done in Asaram Bapu's case, that minor girl, the documents were manipulated from Anganwadi. They got the date of birth certificate from Anganwadi, from the hospital, from the panchayat. Now again, they are trying to do the same here in this particular case also. So there are enough evidence, and the police must arrest him immediately. And if they arrest him, then the evidence will be more clear and much more forcefully will come out. Now the things are being distorted, manipulated, and managed, and this is the same Delhi police which did not even register the FIR without the instructions of Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court has instructed the Delhi police to lodge the FIR, then there must be some content in the FIRs. And I personally have gone through the FIRs, and being a sports person, I can well imagine the torture, the sexual assaults these girls have been through. Really, really concerning. And now what is being said by the police, it will be exposed in the coming time.
Ma'am, can I ask you one more question before I go across to Yashovardhan Azad? If what we are hearing, from the media is true, that the Delhi police indeed believe that there isn't enough evidence to arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, are you concerned that, perhaps there's going to be a clean chit given to this man? I'm saying it's a possibility. I am not trying to jump to any conclusions. I'm not trying to prejudge the investigation of the Delhi police or the report that they're going to eventually submit. But are you concerned that at this rate, there could very well be a clean chit given to Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? And if that does happen, what options does that leave the wrestlers with?
Yes, it is possible when they have not arrested him after the POXO also, in spite of the POXO also, so they can give him clean chit also. But there are precedents that in case of Ruchika Girotra, DGP Rathore was given clean chit by some court and some police, but the process may have been very longer, very torturous and costly for the family. But ultimately, they had to arrest this DGP Rathore, the accused of the case.
And eventually he was found guilty. I understand the point that you're making. Yeah. I will come back to you, ma'am. Yashovardhan Azad, let me come to you. I know the sports minister and many others, especially in the BJP, have argued that the law must take its own course. The matter is under investigation. The wrestlers must repose some faith in the system, in the Delhi police. And, you can't just demand somebody's arrest at the drop of a hat. However, the counter argument to that is, what you heard Ma'am Jagmati Sangwan just say. The wrestlers have been saying, we did not want to take to the streets. We did not want to sit at Jantar Mantar for weeks together. We had reposed faith in the government and in the sports ministry. We'd gone to them with our complaints. We went repeatedly to the Delhi police. When nothing happened, when no action was taken, That is when we first sat on a dharna in the month of January. We got an assurance that there would be action. We went back. We returned 3 months later again because there was complete inaction. Yes, a committee was set up, but its report hasn't been made public yet. We don't even know what the recommendations of that committee are. Let's face it, sir, the Delhi police had refused to even register an FIR. Till the wrestlers went knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court of India, it took the intervention of the highest court of the land to get the Delhi police to even register an FIR. And it's also been pointed out that in a case as serious as one that involves the POCSO Act, very often you do see arrests being made, but not in this case. So the allegation is that, you know, the police are and the entire system is trying to shield a man who's very powerful, a 6-time MP, belongs to the ruling party. And what makes matters worse is that he continues to call himself the president of the Wrestling Federation of India, even though technically his term may have ended in May, but of course there was no election. So the point really is, can you really expect a fair probe when the man continues to be the president of the Wrestling Federation? I mean, he's not even had the decency to step aside and say, okay, let a fair probe occur. And then there are all these media reports being attributed to the Delhi police, saying that, you know, there is simply no evidence or not enough evidence against the man. Because the fear that's being expressed is that, you know, the script has already been written. He's too powerful a man and he's going to get away. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me say at the very outset that both the inquiry and the investigation started on the wrong foot. You know, it was quite evident when Supreme Court directed the Delhi police to register the FIR. Before that, there was no internal complaints committee within the WFI, and that itself should have been the reason why the WFI officials should have been suspended and put on hold so that they don't exert any influence. On that count, I totally agree with you. And even when the complaint was lodged, I don't know why there was a delay in registering the FIR. As per the Lalita Kumari judgment, of course, Delhi police took the exceptions that in cases where complaint has been lodged after a considerable period of time, there is a scope for inquiry, and they did that. Again, there was a delay, and then the FIR was registered. Now, the question is, in such cases, immediately you go in for a statement before a magistrate. That again was delayed. And now that the magistrate statements, have been taken, again, the investigation is frozen in time because this gentleman has not been called even for a statement, forget about arrest and all.
Exactly.
So there are two things here. One is, if Delhi police really thinks, they have three options. Either they investigate, arrest this man, get the statements of the witnesses recorded, and then file a charge sheet. Secondly, they can cite lack of evidence and then again put up the challan before the magistrate. Again, the magistrate will have to agree, and the magistrate can call for further investigation. Or number three, if they are so convinced that this entire thing is false and trumped up charges, then they can take action against the wrestlers under 182/211 of IPC. The question is, why is it frozen in time? And that is where the doubt arises, that because of this gentleman who's making sweeping statements, calling Vinesh mantra, calling the POCSO Act itself, a kind of a wrong act, which was, drafted in the earlier regime, and he would like to make some changes. He also jested and said, "Ye chua chhoot ka ye hai, sahi chua chhoot ya bura chua chhoot." Now, this is a kind of thing which obviously impacts the investigation. Yeah. So I think the police does not have any options now. It has to go in for one of the reasons, one of the alternatives. And I think there is no other way except to go ahead with the investigation. Mind you, Neha, the World Federation body of wrestling
has expressed concern.
Threatened action. You have support pouring in from Japan. You have support pouring in from the wrestlers of Manipur. So this is not only a political slugfest. It is also support coming from the sportsmen. There should be a rightful case investigation. And I think it is important that the government even looks at it and goes ahead with the investigation to its logical conclusion.
So you've hit the nail on the head and raised some very important issues here. Clearly now the international community is watching what's happening here with these wrestlers. And I think it's to even say that what happened on Sunday was unfortunate would be a gross understatement, because the people we're talking about, especially the women who were roughed up, manhandled, dragged on the roads of India's national capital, they are our Olympic champions. They are, they are people who've won medals for this country, and they've done us proud. They are our heroes. Yashovardhan Azad, I want to ask you another question before I go across to Dr. Ranjana Kumari. You are quite right, sir, in pointing out that leave alone arresting Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the Delhi police are yet to even call the man in for an interrogation. The man, and I think you're being very charitable towards him by referring to him as a gentleman, he's been making absolutely obnoxious and sweeping statements, making some very personal attacks on these wrestlers who, as I keep saying, are national heroes, are champions, people we are proud of. And he, accuses this whole thing of being politically motivated. But sir, you understand the law better than most others. Tell me, is it not true, sir, that, it's often said, show me the man and I will show you the law. Is that what is unfortunately happening in the case of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? Because there are many instances, sir, where if the POCSO Act has been invoked, it doesn't take long for the police to usually swoop in and make an arrest. Here you have the man going around saying this act should be amended.
Well, Neha, you hit the nail on the head. If it was an ordinary case of POCSO, immediately the statement for the magistrate would have been taken. The man would have been arrested or sent a notice for 41(2) and cite the reasons why he's been arrested. There is definitely no doubt that when the police has to proceed against a ruling party member, it's kind of pulverized. And that's exactly why I have been talking on various platforms that unless you give the police the requisite autonomy to investigate in such cases, it is just not going to happen. Today, if the investigation is frozen into time, it's only because the accused is brazenly flouting all kinds of fear. There has been no impact. Neither the party has deemed fit to take any action against him. Neither the government has taken any action against him. So this kind of a brazen behavior shows that the Delhi police will be impacted. This kind of external influence on investigation is certainly not right. And, though it is not mandatory that immediately the arrest should be held, but yes, there has to be a logical conclusion to investigation is leading to something. Mind you, Neha, there was already a preliminary inquiry, and only after that, the Delhi police did the preliminary inquiry, but there was prima facie evidence, and that is why the FIR was lodged. Now the FIR needs to be taken to a logical conclusion. Therefore, he has to be called, his statement has to be taken, and all the other evidence gathered in, which the police is not doing. And in that respect, I agree with you. There is something else. There is an external influence. That is why the Delhi police investigation appears absolutely frozen in time.
Well, as factual as what you're saying is, it's also very, very sad, sir, what's happening in this country today. Because, there are many who are saying if the country's top wrestlers, medal-winning champions can be subjected to this because they're up against a powerful man. Imagine what an ordinary person goes through. Imagine what an ordinary woman fighting for justice in a sexual harassment case has to go through. Already there have been enough insinuations made about why these women waited for 7 years. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, let me bring you in. At the very least, in a case such as this, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh should have stepped aside or been sacked as Wrestling Federation chief. That's not happened. If not an arrest, at the very least, he should have been interrogated by the Delhi police, his statement recorded. That's not happened yet. The man is going around making all sorts of statements, targeting these wrestlers, accusing them, their campaign and protest of being politically motivated. He's bringing in caste into this entire story. He says the POCSO Act needs to be amended, this, that, and the other. The question really is, ma'am, Do you really see this case moving in the right direction? Because like I keep saying, now there are reports suggesting that according to the Delhi police, there is simply not enough evidence to arrest this man. If it is true, and I'm not saying there's an official statement from the Delhi police on this, but if this is true, the Delhi police actually believe that there is there isn't enough evidence to arrest the man, then tomorrow they could very well give him a clean chit and file a closure report in the court. Where does that leave these wrestlers?
Well, Neha, let me pick up something what Yasho said just now. One thing very important is that, FIR is already been registered. When you register a FIR, there has got to be certain things which are more substantial than just somebody coming and telling the police that, this is what has happened to me. So, and Supreme Court having ordered this FIR to Delhi police, means something. Like, after all, if there was nothing in front of Supreme Court, why will they ask Delhi police to register the FIR? Number two is that why this man has not even once been asked a question. Why even the investigation, that is internal complaints committee, it is mandatory. We are on almost 35 government of India and other private sector committees dealing with all these cases. Why it is that only one side story was told, and this, whereas the onus of proof lies on him. He has to prove that he did not do all this, because sexual harassment does not happen in public. When he touches their body, he feels that, does whatever he does to her, is, there's no consent. That's why they have come forward and said, if there was no consent, then why it is that he is left out of this whole picture? Whether it is police, whether it is the internal complaints committee, this man has to be brought to books. He has to be brought to the police station now that FIR is there, and ask questions. What happened on such and such day? What happened on such and such date? Where were you? What was? So I think that investigation has to go on, and he has to prove that he did not do it. The fact that he's making a whole political statement around the whole issue, using caste, changing POXO, all kinds of nonsense that he's publicly talking about, which is, how difficult it was to get POXO in place by all of us who fought for it, and how important the whole law is to protect minors. And look at the loosely he's talking about all these things, and he's been allowed to do it by his political party. Anyway, that is his political party's business. Country is watching, women are watching the country, and we know that today women's voices, and not ordinary women, not a woman sitting in the office, Neha. These are the women who brought laurels, and now I'm sure Olympic Committee is going to come in. I'm sure international athletes
they nearly immersed their medals in the Ganga yesterday.
I'm sure. Yes, Neha, they are going to come in. We all are supporting it. We all are with the wrestlers. But the whole thing is that we demand that Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh should be arrested, brought to the police station, and then he should be asked these questions. That's minimum the Delhi police has to do. Whatever pressure they may be under. I mean, the law is law. If they are the ones who are supposed to enforce the law. If they are not able to enforce the law, then then why do we have police at all? Why do we have these laws at all? Why did we have sexual harassment and workplace law, which came in where the person who has really wronged the woman has to prove that he has not wronged the woman? Now, why aren't we saying girls are not being able to provide the proof? This, that, and the other, all kinds of political stories have been woven around the whole fact. I mean, they are sitting alone. So if anybody is coming to support, it's too good. It's better that society wakes up to this call. If yesterday, imagine, if yesterday that Mr. Tikat had not reached, do you
the
think
medals would have been in the Ganga?
Really accepted throwing
Yes.
the medals in the river?
Yes, and that would have been such a tragedy. I mean, it's bad enough that these women, have accused such a powerful man of sexual harassment and are seeking justice and get beaten up by the Delhi police on the roads of the national capital. On top of that, if these medals had been thrown into the Ganga, I mean, what a national tragedy that would be. Not just a personal tragedy for these wrestlers who've obviously spend their entire lifetime earning those medals and laurels for the country. It would have been a national tragedy. Yes, we all remember the great Muhammad Ali did it many decades ago. But we do not want to see something as tragic as that happening here in India, in the world's largest democracy. Let me now go back to Jagmati Sangwan at this point. Ma'am, since my job is to play the devil's advocate, I just want to quote to you some of the arguments that have been made by government sources in this regard, and if you could please respond. You know, what they are saying is that the wrestlers want to act as the judge, jury and executioners. They want everything done their way. They are saying first make the arrest, then we're going to talk to you. They're not being reasonable. Going by their version, they don't trust the legal system, they don't trust the police, they don't trust the findings of the oversight committee. They simply don't trust anyone at all. And then these government sources go on to say just because they have won medals for the country does not mean that their word should be taken as the gospel truth, and action cannot be taken against anyone just on the basis of their statements. How would you respond to that, ma'am?
Neha, these are all baseless allegations to ruin their image. These girls have been most responsible person in this whole episode. First of all, when they came back, when the Prime Minister was there to congratulate them, they tried to convey the things to him personally, but he did not take cognizance of the things. Then they brought it in the public domain. And when in January they were on Jantar Mantar, they did not allow any political party, any other organization to intervene. But yes, they said there should be some there should be some punishment for the assaulter. Then the committee, which was constituted by the government, it has been playing with all the norms out there. As it has been said by the earlier speaker, there was no internal complaints committee existing in WFI, and the committee which was existing in some file, it had been given the name of Sexual Harassment Committee. This is on record. This was the name of that committee, and that is what exactly was being done over there. And when these girls were there as a witness, the first girl, when went there in front of the committee, the next day here in Haryana, all the wrestlers and we concerned people, we hold a meeting. That the next very day, the name was leaked to Brij Bhushan of that minor girl, and Yogeshwar, that earlier wrestler, he went to her house, that why you sent your daughter to be as witness in front of committee. You do not know about the consequences. And we all deliberated on this serious issue, and we conveyed it timely to the committee also.
You did not want him included in the committee. Yes.
Pardon?
You did not want him included in the committee for that reason. You had raised questions about his inclusion in the committee.
Yes, because his positions were pretty clear, and those were blatantly against the wrestlers who were fighting for justice. And the same thing happened. He was mentioning the consequences to the families of the girls. And the report of this committee itself is you can say मजाक उड़ाया गया न्याय प्रक्रिया का एक तरह से. There were people of Brij Bhushan Sharan in front of the gate when they were they were giving their statements there in front of the committee. Okay. And there was switching off and on of cameras where they were being inquired about the things. And what about the video and audio proofs they were asking about? As it has been said by Ranjana, that provision is this onus lies on this Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh.
Yes.
To prove
I want to discuss that in greater detail with you and Yashovardhan Azad and Dr. Ranjana Kumari, but we also have Manasvi Thapar, law and political analyst, joining us at this point. Manasvi Thapar, Jagmati Sangwan and the protesting wrestlers saying that what's happened in this case is a complete travesty and mockery of justice and India's legal system. Here's a powerful man who's a 6-time MP, belongs to the ruling party, insists on still being referred to as the president of India's Wrestling Federation. He's not even had the decency to step aside. He faces charges under the POCSO Act. Forget about being arrested. He's not even been interrogated once. Now there are media reports suggesting that according to the Delhi police, there's simply not enough evidence to arrest him. Well, if this is true, and we don't know that yet because the Delhi police hasn't issued a statement, but if this is true, tomorrow the Delhi police could very well come out and give him a clean chit and file a closure report in court.
So that is what is there in front of all. What is there? The reality. Am I audible?
Please continue. We have a bit of a problem with your line, but please continue.
So, in the image of what or the sports federation has been put up in front of the country. What we understand as of now is if someone has done such if against Brij Bhushan, he should have on morality. Let the legal course take its own time. We know in the past, be it Lal Bahadur Shastri or LK Advani in the recent times have resigned if there were some allegations against them, or not even allegations. If they took a moral responsibility of something, positions would come and go. What is more important is protecting the essence, protecting the welfare of the wrestlers and the sportsmanship. That has not been there. And the entire system and the entire BJP lobby has been trying to project as in Brij Bhushan is a very honest man and upright man, could not do any kind of mischief under POCSO Act or anything. And this has been, and there has been a selective lobby which is trying to criminalize the wrestlers. They have been treating, we saw the images when the new parliament was being opened up, how the wrestlers are national heritage. The wrestlers, I would say, they are our national heritage. They have brought laurels for our country and they were treated this way. It's a sad day and we should all condemn it. These are the people who brought gold and silver for our country, and while they were bringing gold and silver for our country, we all were celebrating. Desh ki betiyan. These were the people who we wanted our kids to be like them. And now, if they're complaining to the country, they're complaining to the government is on deaf ears. This is not how we should want a system of any country should function. On the contrary, the sports minister, Brij Bhushan, and the prime minister and the entire cabinet should be with them. They should give an understanding to the country. Yes, we are with the wrestlers. Let the investigation be completed. Till that time, Brij Bhushan is not anymore the president of Wrestling Federation.
Yes.
And if the result is contrary, who will be on the back foot? The wrestlers would be on the back foot.
At the very least, this man should have been asked to step aside. And, you know, I understand the sentiment you're expressing, Manasvi Thapar, but to expect a Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh to act like Lal Bahadur Shastri, I think is way, way too optimistic. This man is going around talking about how the POCSO Act needs to be amended. But Yashovardhan Azad and Dr. Ranjana Kumari, I want to put a question to both of you, starting with you, Mr. Azad. You know, a lot of insinuations have been made. Oh, this is a 7-year-old case. Why have they come out and registered a complaint now? What were they doing all these years? Where is the evidence? No WhatsApp messages, no audio, video recordings, etc., etc., etc. So you would recall when the Me Too movement came to India, similar remarks were made by a lot of people against those women accusers. Similar demands were made. Where are the audio and video recordings? Where is the evidence? Where are the WhatsApp chats? Where are the witnesses? You know, I mean, it saddens me as much as it amuses me. I mean, these people don't even realize that something like sexual harassment usually does not take place in public. These are things that happen behind closed doors. And I think more often than not, women, you know, are too perhaps shell-shocked to even react to what's happening to them, to whip out their phones and make audio and video recordings. And if this were to be the benchmark, sir, I don't think any woman in India or anywhere in any part of the world would ever get justice in a sexual harassment case if we were to keep asking why she was silent for 7 years or where are the video and audio recordings.
Well, I think that part has already been taken care of, Neha, because, Ranjana is right when she says that, sexual harassment does not take place in the public. And secondly, the reason, this reason has already been covered under the Lalita Kumari judgment, that if a complaint is made after some considerable period, and there were good reasons for that, you can't expect a fledgling wrestler who's just coming into the competitive world to sort of start protesting. She has to look at her prowess too and practices too, and that's why they were scared, which is very true. In that respect, none of the Me Too movement candidates would have got any justice. Look at abroad, even after 20 years, they made complaints and they've got relief. So this is no argument which they are making. And secondly, the point which Jagmeet ji was making, and I totally agree with her, the kind of the statements, the way they were being taken. I mean, obviously, when you're being asked explicit details about such sexual harassment incidents, then there should be only, women over there to listen to those details. I mean, this is a requirement as per the Act, as per the POSH Act or even the POXO Act. So, in this respect, I think, for example, tell me, Neha, what is the purpose of the committee now? The committee should have functioned when the complaint had gone. That is the job of the internal complaint committee. And if there is a committee to look into larger issues, the first thing they should have done is to sack the WFI so that the man does not exert an influence. In fact, even now, the most damaging part is, and I think the wrestler's lawyer should go to the court stating that this man should be prevented from making statements in the wild, off the cuff remarks in the public, because that is exerting influence on the investigation.
He's intimidating them as well. He's openly and publicly intimidating them.
Yes. The way, if you're calling somebody mantra, if you're jesting about the touch, whether it is appropriate or inappropriate, I think this cannot be allowed. So what I'm saying is, you want a fair trial from your side, but you don't want to give a fair trial to the wrestlers. I mean, that's a biased kind of a view and narrative. And last point, Neha, it is ludicrous to think that the 7 top international wrestlers who have won world medals and Olympic medals will fall for some lucre or political influence.
Exactly.
Won their career, which they have earned with blood, sweat, and toil. I mean, come on, this is incredible. So I think this is not even worth examining and not even worth discussing. I think it's about time that the pressure be mounted on the Delhi police, take a stand, and I hope there is a commissioner who takes a stand and goes through the logical conclusion of this
I couldn't agree more with you, sir. I mean, this man and all his apologists are practically accusing India's top wrestlers who've won laurels and medals for us, who are Olympic champions, of lying, of being part of one large political conspiracy to defame one man called Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who thinks he walks around with a halo around him. And what's also interesting, if I may quickly share this with you and our viewers, recently a journalist addressed him as the former Wrestling Federation chief. He corrected the journalist to say, I am still the president of the Wrestling Federation of India. Never mind the fact that technically his term ended in the month of May. Just because there wasn't an election, he insists on calling himself the Wrestling Federation chief. The man who's been accused by 7 wrestlers of sexually harassing them. Look at the brazenness of this man. All right, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, please quickly wrap up this discussion for us. Where do you see this going, sir? Ma'am? Do you believe the Delhi police will do a fair investigation in this case? There are already reports saying Delhi police say they don't believe they have enough evidence to arrest him.
That's the conclusion. The conclusion is that they don't think there is anything, or they think that the girls are lying. That's blaming the victim is the conclusion of this whole case. But let me tell you, these shameless politicians, they should have, first thing should happen. Now let me put the demands, or at least what we are asking for, or what the wrestlers must get. That he must resign, because there is an FIR in a criminal case against him. He should resign. That's first thing that should happen. POXO is a case where he has to resign before, whether he has to resign from being federation head or as a member of parliament. He must resign. That's the first thing that should be called. Second thing, he must be called for investigation And third, I think his arrest is pre-eminent. You cannot but deal with this whole situation only by doing that. I only hope and wish this government wakes up from its
Let's
deep
hope
sleep
that happens, ma'am, because as I said earlier, unfortunately, what often happens is the rule that seems to apply is show me the man and I will show you the law. Is that how the Delhi police are acting in this case? We're talking about something as serious as the POCSO Act. Leave alone arresting the man, he's not even been called in for interrogation by the Delhi police. And no, he refuses to resign as the Wrestling Federation chief. Let's see how this case pans out. It's a story we'll continue to track closely here on News9. A thank you to all our guests for joining me on the show, and thanks to the viewers for watching.